Hey friends, last week was week 1 of my year of personal development mentorship. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, please find my introduction video where I talk about what my plan is for this year. So my big takeaway from last week was perfectionism. Now, this is not a new concept for me. This is not a new takeaway for me. This is something that I have really struggled with pretty much my entire life. I can still remember a project when I was in 4th grade that I felt so overwhelmed by it that it made me physically ill. Now, do I remember what the project was? Of course not. But I do remember that feeling, and I remember not being able to even start the project because I wasn't confident that I could do it perfectly. I would love to sit here and tell you that I have overcome that I don't deal with or battle that anymore. But the truth is, it is still something that I battled this week, which is probably why this perfectionism trap was my biggest takeaway of the week. There is something that I have been toying around with doing, something that I would like to create, but creativity is not my biggest strength. I am very analytical. I've been told I'm a great teacher. I take pride in my ability to communicate complex ideas in an understandable manner. But creativity, it's not high up there. So whenever I'm faced with doing something creative, I start to lose confidence. And when I lose confidence, I shut down. I don't want to do it. I will do anything else but that thing. So I have had this idea in my head and on my heart for over a month now. And I finally forced myself to sit down and start taking a tiny bit of action towards getting that done. And I got to tell you, it's not perfect. I don't love the way it looks right now. There's definitely a lot more I need to do, but I cannot let perfectionism keep me from succeeding. Another way that perfectionism hit me this week was, if you don't know this, I am in a PhD program. I have finished all of my courses. I have passed my comprehensive exams, and I am now to the dissertation process. Now, there's a whole bigger story that goes along with this that maybe I will tell someday, but not right now. But I finally got some feedback on the first draft, not of like my whole dissertation, but the first draft of the background information. Literally, I've been writing on this for a year, and I just got my first feedback. I've probably been writing on it for like a year and a half. And I sat there and I looked at the feedback, and I didn't know what to do. Now, some of it was really easy. It was all pretty easy feedback, honestly. Some of it I could look at and it was really easy. Some of it was a little harder. But the whole thought was so overwhelming. And what happens when I'm overwhelmed? That's right, I shut down. So it probably took me like maybe 2 hours to rearrange things, make some edits and revisions. But because of the fact that I felt overwhelmed, it stretched out over a couple of days because I just didn't know where to start. So I want to encourage you, first of all, if you battle with perfectionism, it is a battle, but you can overcome it. And the best way to overcome it is just start. Don't wait for things to become perfect. Don't wait until you know exactly how to do it. Just get started. Now, another thing I want to say is, if you don't know this, in my PhD program, I have been looking at imposter phenomenon or imposter syndrome, specifically in registered dietitians. However, there's like one published article on dietitians and imposter phenomenon. So I've been looking at it, in scientific literature, which means I've been looking at it in all sorts of fields. And it is not something that is unique to specific fields. People have imposter phenomenon all across the board. And perfectionism stemming from childhood is a hallmark of imposter phenomenon. A lot of people with imposter phenomenon excelled as kids. right? And then there was that expectation, whether it was a self-proclaimed expectation or an expectation of family members or teachers, that they would always excel, right? They would always get good grades. And then they put that stress on themselves to feel like they had to. And friends, honestly, that was what was happening with me in elementary school. I don't have the external pressure to succeed anymore. I mean, nobody is, making me feel like my worth and value are tied up in my grades. But now it's an internal pressure. Okay? So friends, if you are dealing with this, you are not the only one. I want you to know that you are not alone. It's very common. And we can overcome this. We can overcome perfectionism. We can overcome feelings of imposter syndrome or imposter phenomenon. Now, that was my big takeaway from chapter 1 of John Maxwell's 15 Laws of Growth. If you read chapter 1 of 15 Laws of Growth, comment with your takeaways. I would love to hear what you got out of it. If you're struggling with perfectionism, just raise your hand. I would love to support you in your journey towards recovering from perfectionism. It's not too late to read chapter 1 if you haven't read it yet. And if you want to read along with me, I'm reading chapter 2 this week. So thanks for watching, and I hope you have a great day.